Casey Hooper, both in the studio joining us again this week, talking rodeo. This was the High-Low Ranch Rodeo, right?
Yes, sir. Kim, Colorado.
In Kim, Colorado. The last one in Claremore, I think you guys said was really well attended and it went off without a hitch. How do we do this week?
Yeah, Kim, Colorado, this was actually a very competitive ranch rodeo. We'll get into some of the numbers, but there was only 1.5 points separating first and second place. And so it was a very competitive, and when you get into looking, sometimes it's just the slightest little thing that can turn the dial for you, and that just builds the pressure for these guys.
Man, 1.5 points. That's rough to be in second place when you're losing by 1.5 points, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's just like basketball. You'd rather lose by 100 than 1 point because it came down to some flop, either in the Brandon or maybe in the bronc riding or something that was so minute that you can't go back and take it back.
Yeah, it's pointless. Yeah. Man, that's a tough one. So who do we end up with? I know here in a little bit we'll be talking to somebody from the winning ranch. Who did come out on top this week then?
Well, we'll visit with Colby Stock here in a few minutes from Kansas. They're the Stock Ranch and Felt Ranch. Those boys walked away with the bid to come to Amarillo for the World Championship. And a good family operation, and you'll enjoy getting to visit with Colby a little bit.
Well, and you said off the air that these are, I guess, two ranches kind of join up. Does that mean they're like, you only have maybe if you had a ranch with 50 employees, another one with 25, and they just didn't have enough that wanted to actually do it from each ranch, so they said, you know what, you got whatever 5 from this one and 6 from this one that want to go, and is that how that kind of works like that?
Yeah, it sure does. We've got ranches obviously that are able to field a team just with their own employees. And sometimes you've got a ranch, maybe just a little smaller family operation, doesn't have a lot of full-time people, and so they'll join in with the neighboring ranch or some guys that they know that are in the similar situation. And same thing here. Very interesting operations that these guys run, and they actually, as a combined ranch, this will be their first time to get a chance to come to Amarillo.
Oh, cool.
As Stock and Felt.
Nice.
So we know they're very excited.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Well, Casey, we can't do this without the people of our committees, right? And just really want to put a thank you out to the High-Low Ranch Rodeo group up there, Rachel and Clay and all the folks that helped put this thing on. They are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, as we talked about last week, and it's a very unique event, but it takes people to run them, so we really appreciate what they do.
Can't do it. Nothing is done well by yourself, I don't think, in the entire ranching community, is it?
No, not at all, because you take Claremore and the population probably triples Kim. And being out in the middle of nowhere, it takes the rodeo committee, who actually are working ranch cowboys themselves. It actually is a good little puzzle to have because you know that your cattle will be taken care of.
Right.
You know, when they're handling cattle, it's kind of a no-brainer that it would be handled with kid gloves, as if they were their own.
Yeah, exactly.
So those smaller rodeo committees, and not to take away from the larger rodeos, because those arena hands, the arena crew, just like ours, are top-notch for that area. Yeah. And you can't ask for better people than that.
Very, very cool.
Well, let's start out with some of our other awards that we have at this deal. We talk about our ranches, but there are some individual awards that are given out, and it kind of showcases the talents that these folks have. So the Wrangler Top Hand, and thank you to Wrangler Jeans for supporting us this year. And so the Wrangler Top Hand was none other than the Jesse Jolly from Jolly Ranch and S&L Cattle Company. Anybody that has really followed WRCA over the years knows that bunch, they're hard to beat.
Right.
And Jesse, great guy. He was able to walk away with that Top Hand award. And then another individual award that we give out to recognize the horses that these guys ride. Thanks to AQHA, one of our sponsors here in town that helps us a great deal. The top horse was a 2009 black mare named Lady Sanpana. She was owned and ridden, and that's pretty unique to be owned and ridden by the same person. Cash Chamberlain out of JOD Brown Mill. He and his wife Candace own that mare, and anybody that knows Cash, that boy's always well mounted, and he was able to walk away with that top horse award. Those are the two individual prizes, and then Casey, let's jump into the top three. Third place, we actually have last year's High-Low Country champion that came to the World Championships, Irons Springs Ranch and Welch Cattle Company out of Colorado. Casey, what do you know about these guys?
Well, it's about the only ranch team that you've got where two brothers actually get along. Now, I'll say that on the air. I'm not too sure if that's what's like at home. But I will say that the benefit of all the ranches that were involved, when you work with somebody on one side, Iron Springs, they work with each other every day. Mm-hmm. Welch Cattle, they're working with themselves every day. Right. Even if it's two brothers smashing their thumbs fixing fence, because believe it or not, that is part of what we do.
Right.
You've got to take care of the maintenance part. But Bob does a lot of really neat stuff for all the communities, and the foundation being one of them. Yeah. He's been a big advocate, and so is his family. And the Welch Cattle along with Iron Springs. They're pretty tough ropers, actually. And you talk about being mounted. Iron Springs has got some pretty good sticks. They actually are very well mounted. And so being the top hand judge and being the top horse judge is a feat upon itself.
Wow. Yeah.
In any of these ranch rodeos.
Yeah.
So having actually, when Cash probably rode in the arena, and then running behind them was Sandhill, and then running behind them was the Baron Highsmith crew. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Who would want to judge that? Who would want to be responsible for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a tough bunch, and kind of breaking down their individual event placings. Iron Springs, they're well mounted because they won the sorting, walked away with the sorting. They were kind of middle of the pack in doctoring and branding, and on their bronc. What really hurt them at this rodeo was something happened. They just bombed out in the milking.
Right.
They came in. We'll just call it. Let's just say in the last hole, in the placings on the milking. No offense, Gary, and to the guys, but milking just kind of ate their lunch,
right?
And that cost them pretty heavily. The second place ranch was a ranch that has won the world championship multiple times. Jolly Ranch and S&L Cattle out of Colorado had the top hand, Jesse Jolly, and as we said, there were only 1.5 points separating them from winning this deal. They've got some other chances, so I bet you, Casey, they're probably going to be making a run at it elsewhere, wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah, they're hungry now. And I got to make a little funny tidbit here. Talk about top hand. Let's talk about the top hands off of Jolly and S&L Cattle, because you have to be a top hand to wear sweater vests during the World Championship Ranch Rodeo. It's almost like a staple that they've got where they come in the pin, and one or two of them they're the only ones I know that can pull off a sweater vest and look sexy doing it. Now, don't get mad at me, wives. That was just a statement.
Colby Stock, I think we're going to get to talk to him here in a little bit, but Colby and his crew at Stock and Felt, they walked away with the win and get to come see us in November. They really had a pretty good showing, won the milking, got second in the branding, and then scored very well in doctoring and sorting at 4th and 5th place, and tied for 7th on the broncs. But when you walk away with 1st and 2nd in two of the events, and then you hold tight in the others, you got a pretty good chance. And they were fortunate to get that win.
And just by, like, what'd you say, 1.5
points? They beat Jolly by a 1.5
squeaked in there.
Yeah.
1.5 when you come down to it, actually, that was a hard 1.5 earned.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that was like holding, like waiting there with chewing your fingernails, waiting just on that 1.5. But I want to go back a little bit on some of our heritage and tradition on this stock ranch. In 2016, and even before in 2009, 2010, Colby used to go with, actually used to be KW Cattle and Diamond E Ranch. And then Colby broke out on kind of his own in 2016. It might have been in 15. But he has a daughter. All right. So you watch these kids grow up all these many years. And Clara Stock actually in 2017 jumped on the card. And you cut your teeth in the Brandon pin carrying the dope bucket when you're young. And you look out 5:30 in the morning and you're trying to catch the school bus and they're loading the trailer.
Uh-huh.
Now Clara is running the Brandon Iron Zone. She is on the ranch card.
That's neat.
And I have the utmost respect, and if you watch her, she'll, a lot of people give people the short change for carrying the Brandon Iron but actually it's a very important job.
Yeah.
And to watch these generations come about kudos to these families. Yeah. And kudos for us, actually, for welcoming them in. I think it's really, really neat.
Lehman Wall and Casey Hooper is who you're listening to. I'll tell you all the ranch results. And since I see Colby calling in, we'll pick up the phone here. On the phone, it's Colby Stock. I can't even read my own writing. Colby Stock from the Stock Ranch. How you doing, Colby?
Good. How about yourself?
We are doing good here in Amarillo, man. Lehman Wall is in here with us in the studio, and so is Casey Hooper. And I heard you had a successful rodeo over the weekend.
Man, we did. We were pretty fortunate and pretty excited about it.
Yeah, congratulations, Colby. We're really excited for you guys to get to come to Amarillo and try to win that world championship. What does this kind of mean? I'm sure it's sunk in a little bit, and on the drive home back to Kansas, you guys probably talked a little bit. How does this feel for the ranch to win this deal?
Well, it's always exciting. Of course, as you mentioned, that first leg of that driving's always pretty good because everybody's still excited. Man, it's cool. It's just it's hard to take that competitive itch out of a guy sometimes, and to get to go and get to qualify for the finals down there always makes a guy feel really good to get to go play at that level of competition.
So now that you got the win under the belt, how does this kind of work for you the rest of the season? Are you still going to get out and compete? Are you guys going to hang close to the ranch? How's that going to work?
Well, I think we'll still go to a few. Like I said, kind of what we had planned on going to. It's kind of hard to explain, but again, it kind of scratches that competitive itch, but it does change the dynamic because we're kind of just having a lot of fun right now.
Hey, Colby, it's Casey here. Don't be alarmed. Once again, me stuck in the family thing is such importance to what we do and what we kind of preach. But let's even go back to even 2009 and 2010. When I first met Colby, you talk about someone that could tap off on a bronc. And I'm not just saying that, Colby. I'm very sincere, but not just that. But you can come back from a crazy bronc ride like Meade, Kansas, what was that, 2012. And then thank God that event was at the end because it kind of got mashed up. But you sometimes the broncs will buck in the beginning and then they have to still participate and get their head screwed on right, then go into the sorting. And there was a family, the stock, I don't know how to explain this either, Colby, just kind of you were stuck with words, but there was a family by the X that used to ride with Colby, and Colton and Andy were a big part of this, and then his kids kind of grew up, and now Andy is taking part in his child's life and allowing him to kind of earn those medals in the rodeo sport. But then now you've got Clara, and then pretty soon we might have to find another hole for the Colby stock, literally. But I was telling him earlier about Clara and the branding. That's a serious assignment when you're holding the branding iron. And everyone passes it off like you'll say, I'm just branding, I'm just carrying the iron, Well. They need to take a look down deep into Clara's eyes during the branding and realize that that's for real. So go ahead and brag about your daughter a little bit, Colby.
Boy, I will. I'm very fortunate there. Luckily, she's got the biggest part of her mother in her that allows those good traits to show. She is very in tune with her job and somewhat of a perfectionist, and that's neat to see. I am excited. Of course, it's hard not to put too much weight on your kids when they're small, but I am excited about my kids. So far, their work ethic and getting to be a part with them, and it does, you hear it as a youngster that the joys you have watching your children do things, and you never understand that until you get a chance to experience it yourself.
Absolutely, Colby, and I think she's one heck of a wrestler, too, but we'll save that for a different discussion.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about family, Colby, and obviously you got your brothers on the other side of the card there with Felt. Let's talk about just the whole team. Tell us about how the team gels together and what kind of made this all work for you guys.
Man, it's pretty neat. Luckily we're a fair bunch of guys that get to be around each other a lot and work well together. And it's just a joy to get to go with some guys that everybody enjoys each other's company. And it said that, if it wasn't fun to get in the truck and go, it doesn't matter what's happening at the rodeo, and that's pretty neat. Got a lot of guys with some hard work ethic, everybody's got to kind of fight for the bottom end of their jobs, because nobody wants to be a superstar. That's pretty cool to be around a bunch of guys that just want to work hard and have fun. And of course, try to win a little bit, because that makes it even more fun. But it is a good group of guys, and kind of keep everybody in line, and that's what's so fun about it.
Looking at the scores as we run through this, the milking really is what enabled you guys to take this win. The second and third place teams actually did not fare very well in the milking. So,
sure.
In fact, y'all's time, I think it was under 47, 46 and some change. There wasn't many others that were below a minute. How did the milking pan out for the team this go?
Well, I think it did real well. We were very pleased with it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but my wife always kids us that we do good in the milking because it's kind of a hillbilly event. But it's good. Again, all of these deals are just about successfully doing your jobs that are assigned to you, and that's kind of what played out there. Fortunately for us this weekend, we had several good draws. Now, we've had good draws in the past and did not capitalize on them, but luckily, Troy roped well in that deal and mugged, and Marshall Hire milked really well. At Claremore, he left without some milk, so I think he was bound and determined that he was going to have plenty when he showed up the circle. So it's really cool when everybody just does their jobs and gets them done right, and that's what happens.
Well, I wish we could have videoed the look on his face in Claremore, because it was kind of funny. I don't think he wants to relive that, but that's okay.
We'll keep digging that spur on him all the way to Amarillo.
Oh, you bet. That's what we told Clara after Claremore, that maybe she was going to have to start milking and riding the broncs.
It's just going to be the Clara. That's just Clara. She's the whole team.
That's exactly right. You know how it is. When something goes bad, you yell at their kids, whether they were there or not.
And I bet she screws her hat down and takes it on, too.
Guaranteed. Yep. I got to keep her kind of backed off, because if you're not careful, she'll be right in the middle of things.
Just like me.
You guys also were really stout in the branding, got second place there. Craig, last week we were talking about how ranch rodeo is a little different. Actually, it's a lot different than regular rodeo. These guys, this is what they do. In fact, I guarantee you Colby's probably stepped off his horse to get out of the wind this morning. Branding is very ideal for these guys because they do it all the time. Y'all been getting a lot of practice already? You already been doing spring works?
Yes, sir. That started, and in fact, we are working for Troy Felt today. So we just put a set of cows in the pen, and going to be doing some pairing and branding some calves here in a little bit. But yeah, that's a neat deal this time of year. Like I said, Coy roped really well in that deal. Made 2 loops count on 2 calves. I think you said it right, Lehman. You have to know that that's going on right now. So kind of makes the guy feel fresh there, and again, kind of draw it up in the good side of that, the cattle side of that thing, and it worked out for us, and we were pretty tickled with that.
Well, Colby.
And let me go ahead and say Troy did a great job running the iron. Casey said that's very important, and Troy was dialed in. See that in his eyes, and he did an outstanding job.
Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you. And if you were going to say it, he would say it, because he is a man of few words, but I bet it would come out.
That's right.
That was a good one, Colby.
I know you guys talk a lot about luck, but I think a lot of you guys are just humble, too. Colby said the same thing. You got luck of the draw, kind of, and then which ones you guys get. But I know you guys are some of the most humble people I've ever met, but y'all, once in a while, somebody needs to say good job, and you guys got some skill.
Well, we're always the worst at telling our own story. I mean, really.
No, you're pretty good about telling stories about others.
Pretty good at telling a story, you're just not telling your own story. Colby, congratulations. Tell everybody great job, and get those hotel rooms booked so you guys come see us in November.
Hey, we will. And again, it's always exciting to get to go. It's a great event. The WRCA and the Civic Center do an outstanding job. It's always just a nice family time for us to get to go. My kids they've been pretty bummed out the last couple of years because we haven't made it. So they're awful excited to get to go and look forward to it every year. So thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, thank you guys very much. Tell Marshall and everybody hi down there.
We'll do it.
Appreciate you, Colby. Thanks a lot, man.
All right. You guys have a great day.
Adios.
Well, that sounds like that was good for him. And again, this is what you talked about last week, Lehman, was you don't have to win every event. You just have to kind of stay up in that top section to get the most points so you can win the entire. And it sounds like they definitely. But with a first, it's really got to help every rodeo. If you get a first and a second, I guess that really kind of you've got a lot of hope of making it to the end there.
I had called Bob yesterday after, and we were visiting, and they were Iron Springs and Welch Cattle won that rodeo last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, how you feel? He goes, well, after you win one, you kind of taste blood after that. You kind of have that one. So, yeah. I mean, they were still in the money.
Yeah.
All right. But he's right.
Yeah.
I mean, once it's like coming to championship. We just got to get you there one time.
One time, yeah.
And then you'll be hooked.
Yeah. And then you got to go. Like you said, they're talking about his kids who are just been disappointed wanting to go.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, man, we're not going to Amarillo this year.
In a competitive, friendly way.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Right. Bob's not a grizzly bear.
No rodeo for the next couple of weekends, but we got some good ones coming up in June.
Yeah, we do. We are going to be off here for just a couple of weeks, but we got June 1st and 2nd. We head down to Haskell, Texas. One of the longest running rodeos with us. Great group of people, family run deal down there. Wild Horse Prairie Days.
That sounds like something the whole town probably jumps in on. And,
It is. Haskell's a great supporter. And people come out. They have great attendance. Have a trade show.
Oh, cool.
All sorts of things. They started up last year. It was a good deal, Casey. They started this barbecue cook-off in conjunction with the rodeo. It's a really good event. So if you're down from around that country and you're looking for something to do, go to Haskell June 1st and 2nd. Great deal.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this outside circle of what we do a little bit, because this is kind of funny. There's a guy by the name, they call him the Judge. And the hospitality at Haskell is phenomenal. And it's a family committee, even though they're not blood, some of them are. They've been doing this for us and themselves for over 20 years. So it's one of our favorite places to go. But the Judge is the cook, and he runs a big grill back there. And they've got the best tortillas with mustard and brats that you've ever put in your mouth. And I'm not saying after a Bud Light. I'm talking about literally the best thing you've ever put in your mouth. And I kind of look forward to those.
Yeah, last year he made some gumbo. Made some gumbo. Oh, my Lord, it was so good.
It's too hot.
It's about 3.5 hour drive or so?
A little under, depending on which direction you take.
Yeah.
But
that's not bad at all.
From Amarillo, it's good. But there's a lot of ranch country down there. And a lot of the big ranches, historic ranches, will be up on the card there. And good competition, guys. If you like good ranch rodeo, June 1st and 2nd, Wild Horse Prairie Days.
Just north of Abilene, just a little bit,
right,
if anybody.
And it's like Old Home Week.
Yeah.
I mean, after even though you see him for 2 days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Pokey's been going, one of our biggest supporters for the foundation and WRCA, Pokey the Clown. He's been doing the Kids Ranch Rodeo down there forever. Well, if he misses one time due to health or whatever, you would think the world fell apart. You would think that it was all the kids in the community will come, Yeah. I've never thrown milk in 100 degrees, literally 100 degrees in the parade. I've never chunked milk, but I did that one year with Pokey, and I thought these kids' stomachs are going to turn into cottage cheese. They're all going to be puking within an hour. That's just wrong. No pun intended to Plains Dairy, but thank you guys for your support.
Funny.
But dadgum, that was kind of hard to wrap your head around.
The following week, you're over here in New Mexico at Fort Sumner, which is even a little bit closer to. I keep saying I say closer because I forget this is the studios that we're doing this in are in Amarillo. But if you're listening in Montana or something, it's probably not any closer. It doesn't really matter to you at all.
Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah, Fort Sumner, New Mexico, June 8th and 9th. And that's going to kind of get us into some different country. First rodeo of the year in New Mexico. So really I'll be traveling to that one. Looking forward to getting over there, seeing all our New Mexico ranches. And so we're off, like we say, we're off for a couple of weeks. We'll be back around those 2 weekends in June, and look forward to crowning some other winners to come to Amarillo in November. Craig, we got to say thanks to some people again, for all the support that we get. Titan Fuel Tanks, brand new sponsor for WRCA this year, and they're supporting our Sanctioned Rodeo results each week, and really appreciate their coming on board and being a part of our family. And then, of course, we talked about earlier, Jesse Jolly won that Top Hand Award. So thank you to Wrangler Jeans for supporting our Wrangler Top Hand. Really appreciate all the help that they do for us.
Yeah, get on to WRCA.org, by the way, and you can find a complete schedule and everything is on there. And also CalhanSupplyHouse.com to find I was on there. I was telling them off the air. I go, I think I'm going to buy a hat on there. I was on there after we got off the air last week. I got on there and I'm like looking around going, I like this hat. Sure. They've got some great merchandise, cool new coffee cups they got on there too. If you guys could just make one about 8 times bigger for us radio folks, some pitcher size would be good.
You're putting coffee in it, right? You're putting coffee in it.
Coffee, yes. Coffee, those empty bottles are there for decoration.
That's right.
And decoration only. We do not know who drank those.
Always a pleasure, Craig. Always a pleasure.
Yes, look forward to having you in next week. Maybe getting somebody in here from Foundation side and talking a little bit more about what all the WRCA does and who you guys help. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.